Hello, folks. Out here on my day off, having this My Father cigar. There we go. Have a look. I worked late last night. I've kind of earned this. A little windy today for cigar smoking outside, but I really need this. I think I earned it. In today's segment of True North Cigars, I'm researching the history of tobacco and cigars. Now, I have to admit, I was a little bit taken aback about the cigar industry and the history of, especially cigars, as to how they were basically, how can I say this, discovered, but how they proliferated, the places they went, and some of the issues they caused. So I'm going to let you take a look at this segment, and then we'll talk about it when we're done. Okay, so let's speak on it here. First of all, what is a cigar? A cigar, quite simply, is a rolled bundle of dried and fermented tobacco leaves. Cigars are produced in a variety of different shapes and sizes. Today's cigars are made of three distinct components: the filler, the binder leaf, which holds the filler together, and the wrapper leaf, which is oftentimes the highest quality leaf that's used in the cigar. Often there will be a cigar band. Let's see if I have an example here. We all know this, I know, but a cigar band seen here, right? Which is printed with the cigar manufacturer's logo. Now, some modern cigars have two or more bands, like this Rocky Patel over here. Two bands. I've actually saw where they have some a little around the footer as well, bands, right? Right. Now, cigar tobacco is grown in significant quantities in such places as Brazil, Central America, and places such as Costa Rica, Ecuador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, and even Panama. I didn't know about that. There's also a number of islands in the Caribbean, namely the Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Puerto Rico, which I did not know about, Haiti and Puerto Rico, right? Now, tobacco, even cigar tobacco and pipe tobacco actually are both produced in the eastern United States, mostly in Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Tobacco is also produced in the Mediterranean countries of Italy, Greece, Spain, in places like the Canary Islands, also in Turkey, and I didn't know about that, and to a lesser degree in Indonesia. I knew about that, but also the Philippines and Southeast Asia. Now, in recent years, some African countries like Cameroon, and I have heard about that, have started growing wrappers. Quite interesting, eh? Now, the word cigar originally derived from the Mayan word sacar, to smoke rolled leaves. In other words, to smoke rolled leaves or tobacco, shall we say. The Spanish adapted the word to cigaro, and the English word cigar came into general use in 1730. Now, although the origins of cigar smoking are unknown, cigar smoking was first observed by the European explorers when they encountered the indigenous Tano people of Cuba in 1492. While tobacco was widely used among many of the indigenous peoples of the islands of the Caribbean, it was completely unfamiliar to Europeans before the discovery of the New World in the 15th century. After the arrival of European after the arrival of Europeans, tobacco became the primary products that fueled European colonialism. Interesting, isn't it? Right? The Spanish introduced tobacco to Europe in approximately 1528. Now, the French, Spanish, and Portuguese initially referred to the plant as the sacred herb. I love that, right? Because of its alleged medicinal properties. And it's funny how that carried over when you think about it. If you've ever saw the movie The King's Speech, where I believe it was King George had the stutter, he was encouraged by doctors to smoke cigarettes because it relaxed the muscles in his throat, right? So, there was still a lot of that kind of thought process going on. After a while, the Spanish and other European sailors adopted the practice of smoking rolled tobacco leaves. Smoking primitive cigars spread to Spain and Portugal and eventually France, most probably through Jean Nicot, seen here, the French ambassador to Portugal, who gave his name to nicotine. Later, tobacco spread to the Italian kingdoms, the Dutch Empire, and after Sir Walter Raleigh's voyages to the Americas, to Great Britain. Now, tobacco smoking became familiar throughout Europe and appeared in pipes in Britain by the mid-16th century. Spanish cultivation of tobacco began in earnest in 1531 on the islands of Hispaniola and Santo Domingo. In 1542, tobacco started to be grown commercially in North America when Spaniards established the first cigar factory in Cuba. I didn't know it was that long ago. In 1592, the Spanish traders brought tobacco seed to the Philippines over and distributed it to Roman Catholic missionaries who found that the climate and soil of the Philippines was conducive for growing high quality tobacco. I did not know that. It's interesting how they used, Catholic missionaries for that. An American military officer named Israel Putnam, seen here, is believed to have brought back a cache of Havana cigars during the 7 Years' War. This popularized cigar smoking in the United States after the American Revolution. Putnam also brought Cuban tobacco seeds to the U.S., which he planted in the Hartford area of Connecticut, or Hartford area of New England. Many believe this resulted in the development of the renowned shade-grown Connecticut wrapper. Isn't that interesting? Now, towards the end of the 18th century and in the 19th century, the cigar business was an important industry. Factories employed many people before mechanized manufacturing of cigars became practical. Cigar workers in both Cuba and the U.S. were active in labor strikes. This is interesting. It gets a little rough now, eh? And disputes from the early 19th century, and the rise of modern labor unions can be traced to the CMIU and other cigar worker unions. In 1869, Spanish cigar manufacturer Vicente Martinez Ibor moved his Príncipe de Gales, or Prince of Wales, operation from Havana, Cuba to the Key West, Florida area. Other manufacturers followed, and Key West became the important cigar manufacturing center. In 1885, Ibor moved again. He bought land near a small city called Tampa, Florida. It was, a small city in those days, and the new company town of Ybor City, and built the largest cigar factory in the world at the time. Other cigar manufacturers, there again, they followed them. The local output in Tampa peaked in 1929 when workers in Ybor City and West Tampa rolled over 500, think about that, 500 million clear Havana cigars, earning the town the nickname the cigar capital of the world. Now, over time, most of the factories in the Ybor City area would close. Only one company still manufactures cigars in the Ybor City area, and that is the J.C. Newman Cigar Company. Now, this is an interesting bit of history. In New York during the 1800s, cigars were made by rollers working in their homes, right? Now, this is incredible, this statistics. Okay. By 1883, it was reported that cigars were being manufactured in 127 apartment houses in New York. And that business employed 1,962 families and 7,924 individuals, right? In 1905, there were 80,000 cigar making operations in the United States, most of them small family operated shops where cigars were rolled and sold immediately. Most cigars today are made by machine. However, the higher quality cigars are rolled by hand, especially in Central America and Cuba, but also even in the United States. So, did we learn anything here today? People could debate this quite a bit, actually, about where these cigar manufacturing and so on came from. I found this rather fascinating. I found it fascinating that tobacco was being manufactured in places like Haiti, the Philippines, Turkey, places like that. I no idea, but also I found it interesting. I know that during the days of Prohibition, alcohol was being manufactured in people's apartments and basements and things like that. I had no idea that tobacco was being manufactured like it employed, like cigar manufacturing was employing thousands of people like that in New York. That's interesting. Or the labor issues it caused. I find that very interesting. But let's talk about this in the comments section. Let's have your thoughts on the history of cigars. This little pastime of ours has quite a history, doesn't it? But the stick's almost done. As usual, my father failed to disappoint. I like that. This has been a great stick. But until next time, stay smoky. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.